All right. Hello there, outliers and world shapers. Niiamah Ashong here. And thank you so much for giving me the pleasure of being on your journey here today. I have someone that's incredible that we get a chance to spend time with to also explore how this person is making a world of difference through their unconventional, but completely practical way of operating in the world. Today, I have the pleasure of being with Susan Burns. Susan Burns, Susan Burns, I'm gonna call you first and last name every time. So Susan, it's really good. It's really good to be in space with
you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so delighted.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. We got a chance
I'm looking forward to this, Niiamah.
Yeah. I realized that as you said that I also was looking forward to it. And when I thought about I'm looking forward to it, I'm like, wait, it's happening now, right? Let me bring myself into a little bit more presence into this conversation. And so for any of you outliers that are listening as well, I'm going to invite you, bring yourself into this space here, because like I can already tell we're going to have a conversation unlike anyone that I've had before. Yeah. So Susan, I am excited. I'm experiencing the excitement here. What I know about you is that you are a business lawyer with a boutique law firm. It's based in the Midwest, but you also focus on things I guess the thing about you is that I feel like every time I learn a little bit more about you, there's something else that surprises me. And eventually I'm getting to the point where I'm like, oh, that makes sense because it's Susan's world. So I'm only getting snippets from you in various things that I've been able to see online. I would love to just if you can just give me a quick download or flow of who you are today. Who are you today? I think that's probably the best way to start us off.
Well, who I am today is the same as always, Niiamah. I'm a work in process, but currently, as of this moment, I am a business lawyer. I do transactional work. I'm not a litigator, although I'm very keen on litigation strategy. I work with companies that are in growth mode, and I've been working primarily, 80% in the hemp arena of cannabis, the cannabis industry. But I also work with other companies that are somewhere in the journey of either starting up and have a vision, and I help them implement that with the legal guardrails in place and some strategic business advice. And I also work with companies that are already established, looking to go to the next level, or perhaps prepare to be acquired or acquire a company. So there are various stages of business that are growth mode.
Yeah, I like hearing this here. I'm going to point out a couple of different things as it goes along. You're fine with me. I'm very reflective in real time.
Right? You cut out for a second.
Okay, you're fine with me that I'm very reflective in real time. So you'll hear me. Yeah, we're going to have a fun time. One of the things that you said here, you said, I'm the same as always. I'm a work in progress. And that lit me up from the standpoint of I believe in strengths and playing off strengths, and I've taken strength finders many times. It stays pretty consistent, and always at the bottom in my bottom 5 is this word consistency. And one of the things that I have really leaned into is just thinking about consistency from the standpoint of look, I am consistent. I'm consistently different, and when I hear this, you're I'm the same as always. I'm a work in progress. I feel like you it's such a wonderful way of putting the juxtaposition of them together, and also keeping keeping it fresh but also true. Just want to just get your thoughts as I share that back to you on that.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. It's exactly right on, because it's not stagnant. Yeah. Who are you today? Who are you right now? It's a continuous process, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm going to want to talk to you a lot more than this today.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go. I look at this. I'm this is the beginning of an awesome relationship here. So I'm enjoying our conversation already, and at the same time, when I was doing my research, I saw a lawyer. I heard you talk about hey, I help businesses in growth mode, and some of the things you said, I was yep, this makes sense. You're this is what I can see a lawyer doing these things, you know? And then, but then you're like, 80% of my work is in the hemp specific portion of the cannabis industry. Like you're also like very creative as well. And I'm really curious about like, how do all these things, like, what's the juxtaposition of all of them? How have you been able to use them for you inside of your business? And like, how does it all come together for you? If that question is unclear, let me know, and I will
Yeah,
rephrase
I'm
it.
not quite sure. How have I been able to use what?
Yeah. So I'll rephrase the question as this, right? I think I'll break it down into smaller pieces. This is where I'll go. Question number one, like when I think about lawyers, right? And I think about bringing creativity. The two of those things, like the way I tend to think about it, doesn't always like line up. So I'm very curious about like how you ended up down the law path and how you bring in like your creativity toward the problems that you solve for your clients.
Yeah, well, it's at first I didn't, early in my career when I was working for other firms, I didn't regard that as a benefit, and I wasn't really aware of that as my creativity as a special gift. And I have 3 sisters, and I always said they got all the creativity genes in the family because they were artistic, and they would make, these, one's a potter, well, a couple of them do pottery, one's a photographer. And so they create this beautiful visual art. My creativity is in seeing a solution to a problem that others don't, or a path toward a growth opportunity that isn't apparent to other people. And so I just have that skill. Early on in my career, when I was sitting in big mahogany meeting rooms, the creativity was looked at with, well, maybe sometimes even derision, like, who does that young girl think she is, or things like that. And so it took me a while to be able to learn that it really is a gift, and that it does fit in the legal world. And what helped me with one of my best mentors in my life, his name was John, and he said to me one time, "Susan, you are the most creative lawyer I have ever met in my life." And so that's what made it gel for me. And so from that, I think I take away 2 things. One, thank you, John, for that, but also how as we go through life, we have that opportunity to help other people see their value. And I also believe that I do that in my work with my clients, because we all do it. We get busy doing what we're doing every day, and we don't think about, there's like the to-dos and the this and the that, and we're not thinking about the overall impact and how that really adds to benefits the world. And so it was just really a great moment in my life. 2 seconds.
I'm getting goosebumps as you say it. Like, I want to thank you, John, too. Because it has led to this moment here. And I also really appreciate you, Susan, for like bringing out like helping to see, like, it might have just been a statement in John's life, but he spoke that truth right there. And for you, it was like, it was the next thing that was needed to bring it all into alignment for you.
The big aha moment.
Yeah. And it was, and it didn't take much. It wasn't like he like put a parade together or a presentation. He just told you his truth, and he meant it.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there's, as I think about like what makes a world of difference for people, I look at it and I set my standard at high. I'm like, it has to make a world of difference, not just make a difference, but make a world of difference. But that one statement did. And I like being able to play in this like element of like setting the bar high, but realizing that it may not be the most biggest thing. It might just be the honest truth at the right time for the right person.
Yeah, even a smile.
Yeah. As you're talking, I get curious. I'd like to try and find ways to make this real for people, right? And also real for me, real here. So if you wouldn't mind, if you can think back to like a recent client that you've had and a challenge that they were facing, that like where you felt they saw their problem in like one way, but when you were able to enter the room, you're able to expand their thinking, see different possibilities and different creative ways to come together to come to a conclusion around it. Is there like an example of that comes to mind that you can share that would help me get a sense of it?
Yeah, I can talk about one instances that will be generalities because of client confidentiality,
Absolutely.
but as frequently happens with businesses in growth mode, and I work with small and medium-sized businesses. I don't work in, I used to do Fortune 100 work, but I don't currently, I don't have the capacity to handle that right now. But so what happens frequently with businesses in growth mode, they start out and everybody's happy ever after, and then they keep growing and things change and personalities change and then the needs of the people change. And so this particular client wanted to change the structure of how they were doing business, and it was creating acrimony among the different members of the organization. It was an LLC. And so they were trying to figure it out, but they also, valued each other, but they were getting angry with each other, and it wasn't looking good. And we talked about it for a while, and sometimes, it's not immediately apparent, but I thought I was thinking about it, and then I didn't think about it, and then I got the idea. So I helped him figure out a structure where they could accomplish what they wanted to. It cost about a third of the other plan that they had in mind from one of the members' brother-in-law, who is a lawyer, which also happens a lot. Anyway, it was about a third of that cost, and it saved the relationship, and the company's still doing great. I'm happy to say.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear it.
It's kind of vague, but
you know what? No, but I
idea.
understand that, and like one of my big things when I bring someone into a conversation with me is that what I'm ultimately trying to do is help people get an experience of you, of what it's like. Like we can talk about the work that we do, but like realistically, like it's like we're working with you, and the way that you see things. And if it's not you directly, it's like the company that you're building and like the people that come through, the culture that you have, right? And so what I get from even just that approach is, yes, you have a variety of examples. Like you were immediately on, like I asked you a question, like you're like, I can think of this here, I have it here, but you also have like this high professional integrity with how you choose to go about doing things, and that also like resonates through. So I appreciate the vagueness in this situation because it feels like it's just a reflection of you, and for that, like I'm grateful for it.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's one of the things I love so much about the clients that I work with is to watch them grow, and to be a part of that process and to see the success. And then, the times where it's like, oh, this is terrible and we got to get out. And it's like, let's just hang on here. Maybe you do want to get out, but let's just see what we're doing here. I don't know. It's so much fun.
I can feel it. I can feel the fun coming through, right? Like, I like you talked about things. There's an interesting element of what you just said. Like, I want to just let me pause real quick and just see where I want to go with this. Okay. What's coming through my mind is like, how do you support people when things aren't fun, right? Because I'm hearing that. Yes, I'll say that because a lot of the leaders that are listening to this here they've had ups and downs. They've seen success, and I talked to one of my peers the other day, and I described it as like a period of like falling out of heaven. It's like, wait, we were there, everything was working for us, and then I started going down my path, or like things I wanted to change the structure, like whatever it is, and now all of a sudden, like what has been working hasn't, and I can't seem to reclaim it. And so when you brought that up, it made me think about that. I'd be curious about any thoughts or anything you'd like to put into the conversation from there.
It's just life. And I think for me, part of it is just having learned that, living as many years as I have, that, what seems like a crisis, and sounds so cliche and trite, but what seems like a crisis, if you handle it properly, and I don't mean handle what's going on in the day-to-day, but if you mentally really work it and get what you can out of it, it always goes somewhere awesome. Even though it might seem like it's a dark day. And so I think just from having experienced that in my own life, and then comparing that as an analogy to what I've watched in business development over the years, representing various businesses, it's like, oh yeah. So when the proverbial, what hits the fan, I just am the steady oar or whatever, the guiding light or whatever, just not a guiding light, but I'm the steady person.
Well, like I think about a lighthouse right now, right? As you say that, where it's like the lighthouse is here, and it's a beacon letting them know, like, hey, by the way, like, here goes the rocks. You might think that everything's over here, but like, I'm still giving you some like, I'm still with you. And as you talk, it's like it's really cool. It's like right now I'm overly emphasizing the creative lawyer, right? There's so much more to you than that. But I like the juxtaposition of that. And this is not to say other lawyers are not creative, but I like it's a fun juxtaposition to play with.
I will say it's a rare commodity in my industry. It is. Creativity is not, in most law firms, is not rewarded. You think this is the law, you do it this way. I've worked for the largest firm in the state of Minnesota and been in many meetings where I'm just inside screaming, like, no, we can figure this out. It's not black and white letter of the law, but it's not common, I would say.
Yeah, I think that, like, the two things that come from me is I get how your clients really benefit from being in space with you, because you have such a deep understanding of what can be done, that you also understand like the ways that you can still navigate it and still stay compliant and still be in all the opportunities that are there. And to me, in order to do that, like, you have to have such deep mastery of the underlying material. So I don't talk about this often. I'll probably start talking about it more, because I realized I pushed the part of my life away. But for several years, I was working as an actuarial consultant. And so I know what it's like to be like in the regs and to be like seen as really technical. And I would say to people, I'm an actuary or I'm an actuarial consultant. And they're like, you, like, with all the how, So I think that like, I get it and it feels fascinating here. So let's do this here. Let's wrap up our conversation in this way. I would love to know what excites you, what's coming up that excites you in business right now. And then I have and how can people, like, if they're interested in continuing down the journey with you, how can they best make that come to life? So what interests you in business, what excites you in business right now, and then how can they continue on with you?
Oh, well, I have to say that since the cannabis industry, in particular the hemp legalization in 2018, since that came into being, I felt reborn as a lawyer. I find that field fascinating. And there's a lot going on. It's legal federally. So, every state it's legal, but there's a lot going on with changes in certain states trying to, like Arkansas just tried to ban it. They've passed legislation banning. We'll see how successful that is. But then beyond in the United States, there's a whole host of opportunities, and I see especially in the hospitality industry, where in Latin America, there a few people are dabbling it, but it is an opportunity, a golden opportunity that's just waiting to be, that's waiting to happen for somebody to take advantage of it. So to me, that's the next phase that I would be super excited to work in.
That sounds fantastic. And if anyone's excited to work with you, Susan, how best can they do that?
Well, email Susan at sburnslegal.com, and somewhere on my website there's a place you can just hop on my calendar for 20 minutes, but I should have had that with me. I'm sorry, I don't. I can supply it for show notes if you have them, or just email Susan at sburnslegal.com. And I'm on LinkedIn and also Instagram, Burns Legal.
That sounds great.
Bodacious Women in Cannabis is on Instagram too.
That's your podcast and Instagram, correct?
Yes.
All right. So let's make sure that happens. What I have found, you can send me anything you'd like, but what I have found is that for when people are like serious about working with someone, they make it work, you know? So,
Yeah,
so essentially what I'm hearing from you is I'm out there and I'm here, like, let's talk. All right. And like, let's schedule
Yes.
20 minutes so we can go from there and like, we can go. All right.
Yes.
Awesome. And
good.
yeah, you can send me the link. I'm happy to include it there. But I also know that like I don't want any outlier out here that's listening to this to like say, well, it wasn't in the show notes. It's like you make things happen. So you're in good company around that.
Yeah.
All right. One last question for you then, and then we'll end for today. And the question I have for you is called the time capsule question. And so the question I would ask is this: if you, given what you know right now, if you had to leave a message for your future self to come back to and hear, like one day, like the Susan of the future is like just like need to be reminded of something that you know to be really true right now, what's the message that you would leave for yourself?
Just go for it.
Let's go for it. Well, thank you so much, Susan. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to all the conversations that come from this here and all the things that you do. Please keep bringing your creativity out in the world. It's fantastic. And also your energy. You have an infectiously positive energy that like I feel that things can get done. The things that felt heavy, like they feel lighter now that I've had this conversation with you. So I just really appreciate who you are and what you bring it to the table. Yeah, most certainly.
Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you, Niiamah.